Hey everybody, it's Mr. Pratt here, and today I'm going to be taking you through an awesome game called Star Passing. This is one of my favorite games that I use almost every single unit in my phys ed teaching. It's also a great game for adults, an icebreaker, great for professional development seminars, and things like that, just to get people moving, having some fun. So the game is called Star Passing, and it can be used with any kind of objects. Typically it's used with a ball, but it can be used with any items you have. So this is a passing and catching type game, or a sending and receiving type game, I should say, where you are going to be working as a group to try and move a ball or an object around your circle as quickly and efficiently as you can without dropping or losing control of the ball or object. Okay, so if you're using your feet, you could be doing soccer passes. If you're using lacrosse sticks, you could be throwing a lacrosse ball across. You could really be using any items that you have to play this game. The idea remains the same. You're trying to work as a group to move as an object, or later on when you get a little better, as many objects as you can around your group as quickly as possible. So here we go. We're going to try out some Star Passing. All right, so to help me show you Star Passing, I've recruited some of my favorite superheroes, the X-Men. As you can see, I have some numbers laid out in front of each of the people. These numbers would not normally be on the floor. They're just here for this video to help you understand the pattern of the activity. Okay, so the ball is always going to start with number 1. It's important that number 2 cannot be beside number 1. Okay, number 3 cannot be beside number 2, number 4 cannot be beside number 3, number 5 cannot be beside number 4. So you have to be spread out from the person you are passing the ball to, all right? So Star Passing works just like this. Number 1, Professor X, would pass the ball across to number 2, Cyclops. Cyclops, number 2, would pass the ball across to Magneto. Number 3, Magneto would pass the ball across to number 4, which is Wolverine. And Wolverine, number 4, would pass the ball across to Juggernaut, who is number 5. Once it gets to the end here at 5, Juggernaut, number 5, would pass back to number 1. Okay? And the game is called Star Passing because when we pass the ball in that pattern, as you can see, 1 goes to 2, 2 goes to 3, 3 goes to 4, 4 goes to 5, and 5 goes back to 1. And we create a star pattern. Now, that being said, this game does not have to be played with 5 people. 5 is the ideal number. I've used this game with as few as 4 students up to as many as 10 or 12 in a group. You just have to make sure, like we said before, that you are not next to the person you are passing to. So Professor X could not pass to Wolverine or Magneto. So helping students get set up takes a little bit of time, but once you play this game a few times, they kind of understand how to get themselves organized. One of the big reasons I love this game is because you can add in so many modifications. So in this case, we are passing a ball or rolling a ball. You could be throwing a ball. You could be kicking the ball with your feet. You could be using lacrosse sticks. I use this game for basically every single phys ed unit I do in a year. So there are multiple sports, multiple activities, multiple objects that you could use to make this game fun. To make things a little bit more complicated, here are some extra modifications. Once we get the hang of one ball, we would maybe add in a second ball, okay? And usually you just start it with any of the people. We'll give it to Magneto to start. So as 1 passes to 2, 3 would be passing to 4, 2 would be passing to 3, 4 would be passing to 5, 5 would be to 1, 3 would be to 4, and the pattern would continue. Okay, you could do that with as many balls as possible. I've had groups of 5 students as young as 7 years old doing 4 balls at the same time. Okay, again, talking about things like how some people should maybe pass high, some people should pass low. It's going to help your group be successful. Some other modifications for Star Passing would be adding in some movement. So, back to 1 ball. When Professor X, number 1, passes to Cyclops, number 2, he has to take his spot. So he can run around the circle, and he would take the spot of Cyclops. Cyclops would pass to 3, take the spot of Magneto. Magneto would pass to 4, take the spot of Wolverine. Wolverine would pass to Cyclops, or to Juggernaut, take the spot of Juggernaut. Juggernaut has to pass back to 1, who is now over here. Okay, so you're always passing to the same person in this case, so the numbers don't matter anymore. but you're passing to the same person. Professor X was always passing to Cyclops. Cyclops was passing to Magneto. And the game continues in this pattern. And another way you can modify star passing would be to add more movement again. You could be running, you could be skipping, hopping, whatever you'd like to add in for your students or the group you're playing with. When number 1 passes to number 2, you have to complete a full circle around the group and get all the way back to your spot before the ball is back to you. So as Professor X was going around, Cyclops would have passed to Magneto and would have continued running as well. Magneto would pass to Wolverine, and Magneto would also be running, and they'd both be trying to get back to their spots as the ball continues to pass. Okay? So again, this is a great way to add movement to an already very useful game that works on throwing, catching, kicking, all kinds of fundamental movement skills. And lastly, another one of the reasons I love this game is because it's so good for communication and teamwork. Groups that are struggling to communicate with each other, work together, and talk usually struggle with one ball. Whereas groups who are communicating well, working as a team, some people are being leaders, some people are being followers, and people are putting in a good effort, can get more and more objects added into the game, and it makes it a lot more fun, and they realize that working together leads to success. All right, everybody, so that about does it for star passing. As you can see, this is a great activity for all ages, and it can be as simple or complex as you'd like to make it. Adding in those modifications is definitely going to make it more challenging, so it's suitable to the ability of whatever group you're working with. I have told you a few of the reasons I love this game. I'd love to hear about some of the ways you've modified it or changed it to make it work for your context. I hope you enjoy star passing and you find this game useful. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching. This is Mr. Pratt signing off from Star Passing. Dodgeball!